Hello traders, and welcome back to another market update. Today we're going to take a look at the currency market and see if there's any significant technical analysis, as well as identify some potential trade ideas going forward. Let's go ahead and start out with EURUSD. You can take a look here and see that euro dollar here on the daily chart is looking like it's catching a rebound here. We did see overall, if we back up on the daily chart, we do kind of have this channel to the downside, or this trend line to the downside. You can see price came up into here. We formed a push to the downside. We came back up to this area, found a double top resistance and sold off. So now for the time being, it looks like the price wants to respect this trend line area right here. I think we could see the continuation down back to levels that we had talked about previously on these market updates, which to me signals right around that 1.0910 level going forward. That's just my bias there on EURUSD. However, if we start to see some break of structure here, then we could see the next return or the next push of this upward trend that we have started to see here on EURUSD. We do kind of have this upward channel pressure or upward trend line pressure as well. So we're watching that to see if that can hold. It looks like we're kind of in a wedge right now. So if price can break out one way or the other, I think that we could see some continuation. My bias remains to be bearish here on this pair, but we'll see if that plays out correctly. GBPUSD is our next one. And you can see what we've got here with this pair is we have seen this pair really start to run away, right? So we've had a lot of movement to the upside here. We recently broke through this structure here and saw the continuation. But it looks like currently, if we drop it down to the 4-hour chart, that we have some consolidation here, right? So price is back and forth towards the top of this range here. What this signals to me is that we are consolidating before making our next move. Whether that's up or down, we will see. But my bias here on pound dollar is that I think we could be headed back to test this area here, right? So price recently broke out through that area. We had a nice couple levels of resistance before price broke through, heading up towards this consolidation zone we're currently in. My bias is that we could be headed back to retest this area to maybe find additional support and find more buyers, right? So we recently left this level of resistance, and a lot of times the market would like to retest an area like this to find continued value or continued demand for the underlying trade there. So dollar yen is our next one. You can see here, and what we have is we kind of have this trend line to the upside, or a channel even, because we kind of have it on top and bottom where price is kind of oscillating to the upside. Now, depending on how you draw this trend line here, if you drew it like this, right, it looks like price may be wanting to break out, right? And remember, trend lines are a bit of a subjective matter in the sense that sometimes people draw them differently, right? So in some case, you could say that price is broken underneath, but for the most part, we're still in the general vicinity of holding this trend line depending on how you draw it. So with that said, if price decides to make a flush to the downside, if we do see a bigger push and we hold that level, I think that we could see some continued downside on dollar yen coming into the future. That would be my bias there, but for the time being, we are still maintaining this range, and I think that we could find short-term demand here, unless, of course, that breaks. But my first bias is going to be that I think we could see the continuation of this range, but I want to be aware or open-minded to the idea that if price breaks through these levels, we could see continued push to the downside based on a breakout trade there. Next up is going to be dollar Swiss here, and dollar Swiss is an interesting one because we are seeing a very clean range here on this pair. Take a look at the way that price is back and forth on this pair, very choppy. If you're a sideways range trader, this might be a good opportunity to look for potential long opportunities and set up your own trade if you like this kind of area of support. I certainly do myself, and may be looking for a trade here on dollar Swiss going forward. Next up is gold, and everybody wants to talk about gold because gold is a very hot topic, very fast mover. Currently, we're seeing this gold move to the downside, right? We're seeing this overall channel holding as price does look like it does continue to want to head downwards. But I do want to say that the long-term trend here is still to the upside. We've got the 200 period moving average right here. You can see price is currently trading above the 200 period, and that we could see the continuation longer term. But I think that for the time being, we do have this strong counter trend. So my idea is that I think we could continue to see a downtrend, maybe another push to the downside. Finding support along that 200 period moving average might give us the juice we need to continue maybe back to structure highs if you're a longer term bull on gold. Brent crude is our next one. And on the daily chart, things are looking interesting. You can see we kind of have this channel to the upside, very clean, concise channel on this pair. Things have been very, very consistent with this channel here, you can see we've had multiple touches along the way on both the top and on the bottom. And for the time being, it looks like price wants to continue to respect that area and maybe head back down to the lows to look for additional support to continue this upward trend. That's what I see there so far on Brent crude. Next up is WTI crude, and you can see here on the 4-hour chart, we do have a similar structure. You can kind of see it here where we have this upward channel on WTI crude, and you can see also looking like it might want to hold this recent structure, maybe head back to the trend line lows. New Zealand dollar is our final one here. You can see real quick, if we take a look at the weekly chart, it does look like price wants to potentially find some resistance shortly or close to the current area, right? So we have that downward trend line. We have seen a very bullish run here on this pair, and on the daily chart and 4-hour chart, it's looking pretty bullish. But if price gets up to this area, I think that long term, the trend may kick in and we may see sellers step in to push price back down over the course of the next few months. We'll see what happens there on New Zealand. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you got something out of it. We'll see you next time.